So it's pretty chilly out today. We just thought we would do a little garden update tour though, while everything looks good in the cloudy weather and things are looking nice. Some of the stuff is on its way out, but this isn't the other little patch of carrots. We harvested those other ones out, but these ones are big enough that we can let them keep going, and that's where I put the last of the onion sets in.
Hi.
Liz was working on weighing the tomatoes. So that's where the beets came out in haste to get the last of those onions in. It's a little bit of a race against time because they're short day onions, so they're going to start bulbing up soon. The cedar hasn't been doing so good. It's got some browning, and we don't know if it's just the thing they get sometimes when they're juveniles or if it's gonna go downhill. Hopefully it'll be okay. I did put some mulch on it. The basil's been really happy in the shade there because it's been really hot. The ranuncula's like really cold weather, so they are not doing very good. Hopefully this will give them a little boost. The garlic is bulbing up, you can see in here, which is really exciting. And I learned about Creole garlic, that it's very, very adaptable to the conditions that it's grown in within a generation or two. And it can adapt itself really, really well. So we're hoping if we save some of the best cloves and then replant them, we'll get even better next year. But it just takes so much water, like the onions and the beets when it's bulbing up, it wants this to be almost constantly saturated, and you can feel the difference in how it expands and gets stiffer. That's the onions that were put in first. So those are the same starts as those ones over there. They were just in a lot earlier. And some of the Swiss chard growing out. We had worms and slugs were eating this, but I cut it back and cleared it out, and now it's coming back better. The macadamia has an iron deficiency, and I'm not sure if it's from not enough iron. It can also get it from too much phosphorus, which causes the iron deficiency, so we're not sure. The butterfly bush is starting to bud out like crazy, and we have lots of little oranges set now on the orange, but I was way over watering the citrus, and it has citrus leaf minor, and I think it might be getting the citrus greening. So they swapped out the hay mulch for oak leaf mulch because they have found that growing citrus as an understory tree under oaks, there's something that comes off the drip line of the oaks that prevents and sometimes even cures it. So it's suggested to use oak mulch, and all the oaks are shedding their leaves right now, so people have bags out in front of their yards, and we grabbed a couple bags and put them in the compost and re-mulched the citrus, and now I'm just waiting for them to dry out, trying to give them less water. Gladiolas are getting big. We have the amaryllis starting to come out. There's one. I've been doing a lot of research in online groups from some people that have had a little bit of luck with asparagus, and a major study that was done in Texas 2 years ago that found out how you could grow asparagus in rotation year-round by inducing dormancy one section at a time by cutting it below the soil line. I learned a lot of the stuff that I did wrong. Oh my gosh, I just realized there is a bud on this gladiola. That has not even been in for 60 days. That's crazy, but really cool. I'm trying to show Liz. Yeah. Anyway, I've been selling the fig cuttings that Liz cut out and we rooted, and the comfrey divides that we rooted to raise money to get some asparagus crowns and follow their recommendations for how to do it successfully here. Just kind of as a fun thing. We'll see if we probably won't get anything, but our idea is that we can put it's gonna like really sandy composty soil without the mulch, the same as we use for these, and it will solve this problem of the mulch kind of scattering everywhere all the time and the bugs going in it. So we'll clear out all the mulch, and then I'm going to move those gladiolas up here so that they're in a line up against the wire, and then the asparagus can fern out behind there just in this little strip here, and I'll kind of keep it contained. So that's the plan. We haven't decided for sure yet, but we've been thinking about it. And our Pride and Joy prize peach has, some of them will probably drop, but right now there's probably 50 plus peaches on there. The big ones are all on the other side. Lots of spicy peppers. It's hard to keep up with picking them. The jalapeno is still not doing well because it gets too much sun. The peppers seem to really like the shade here, at least in the warm weather. And the eggplant, it's just about shoulder height on me, but it's on its way out. I think we're up to 85 or 90 eggplant. Hopefully we'll just get a couple more. Roses have been liking the warmer weather, and this one's blooming a lot. The porterweed also blooming. The reed orchid was going nuts. And a plant trade I did with this lady, she gave me a bunch of little things, and one of them I just stuck in here for now, but it's a piece of her reed orchid, which is purple, which I didn't even know they came in that color. And we've got lettuce under there in the shade growing. Worm house. I've been instructed to call them worm houses and not worm bins or worm farms. So this area is where we're talking about putting the asparagus, and we showed you all this lettuce over here before. I kind of want to try to put in another little round before it gets too hot somewhere, but I'm not sure where would be good.
Hi. Welcome to the garden.
Here's the second round of beets. They are, I think they're bulbing up now. Kind of the bad camera skills here. Roses. The roses just seem to like a ton of water and fertilizer and Epsom salts. The Cherokee purple tomato actually was still going good last week, but it's really kind of petering out now. The strawberries have been disfigured, and something wrong with the plants too. I thought it was just from the hot weather and the humidity. They look better now that I watered them, but the knobby strawberries, I don't see any on here to show right now, but it can also be from this insect or boron deficiency. So I was hoping they would be doing better with the cooler weather. I put some branch spacers and pruned the Barbados cherry a little bit. It looks really ridiculous now that other branch broke off, and it's just this tall, spindly thing. But there's two little cherry things on there. There, that's in focus. Not ripe yet though. And look at how much the apple trees have leafed out. They're doing really, really good. So I think their roots are starting to develop. We got some of this, my I don't know how you pronounce it, but you put it down in around the roots and it helps it start developing that symbiotic relationship with the fungi. And they were pretty sad for a while, but now they're looking better. Right now my plan is to try to, maybe April or May, strip all the leaves like that nursery advocates that does the growing in Africa, and they strip the leaves and they get 2 crops a year. And you want to create some stress, so I'm thinking right before the rainy season, create some stress when it's dry, and then hopefully it'll force it to flower, and then maybe put them in sync too so that they flower at the same time. A lot of the little branch spacers keep falling off. Some of the big ones fell off, so I put rocks on there like I did with the mulberry. And you can see the lime plot has been overwatered too.
Do you have enough battery?
I think so. I actually can't see if the battery, how it is on here. But it set a lot of little fruit. These things are supposed to be prolific. I think we counted 80 or 90 limes on here the other day. And so that one I put the oak mulch on, and I'm trying to let it dry out too. Oh, I just see there's a bud on the butterfly pea. I almost pulled it out over the winter, but with this warm weather we've been having until now, it's coming out. One of the things that, and the seaside goldenrod has just decided to flower completely the wrong time of year, but we're just letting it. One of the things I forgot to show on the last video was the dwarf pawpaws that are down here, and this one just has its first leaf coming out. This one over here doesn't. We haven't really found a good place to kind of permanently put them, so they're in this pot with the tabuya right now, which is just budding out. That should get some pretty yellow flowers. And pulled out a lot of the broccoli as the potatoes have grown up. There's a bud on this rose too. This is the crazy heirloom tomato that's really outperformed all the hybrids and everything this year. And when we got drier weather a week ago, it started setting fruit again. So we're just letting it go. More Swiss chard. We lost a bunch of the very first planting of Swiss chard that was so huge the nematodes started taking it out, so we harvested a whole ton of it last week. I haven't tackled the kale yet. It's still pretty crazy here. And you can see the buds on the mulberry. The whole tree is as thick as that. Celery, somewhere. And these peppers that I had planted deep and sideways and given a bunch of things. We gave them the guano, the micronutrients, Epsom salts, and they are just so much happier than our original ones, except I'll show you when I get over there. Our original ones have come back and are also growing like crazy, so I'm not quite sure what it is, if we can take credit or if it's just the way the weather has been, but they're going crazy. And this is where the shiitake mushroom log lives in the shade. And over here is the lavender garden. So we did lavenders and natives because they piled this high kind of nutrient poor and well draining soil because they didn't have any other stuff for us to use at the moment. So first time we've actually seen blooming lavender for sale here, but that's a French lavender, and there's just 1, 2. These two are the same type. It's the third type, and this one has been in the pot all winter and hasn't really been coming back. And then this is a native that we had, I told you about in the last video. This is a native called Twin Flower. So we got things that liked similar conditions to the lavender and had that same kind of purpley color, which is hard to see in the video. That's called Twin Flower, and it's a host plant to what? I can't remember, but it's a host plant to something. We had a bunch of Alyssum volunteer over in the other plot, so I just kind of transferred all the volunteers over here. First time I've ever successfully done that, and they've taken. This is Calumet. It's the host plant to that endangered blue bee. We had a couple last year that a guy had given us from cuttings. So we have the Calumet, and this is called False Rosemary. It's got these little blue flowers, and it does have kind of a rosemary smell. It's actually endemic, not really super local. It's more up in Apalachicola and the Panhandle, I think. And this is another native heliotrope. And I did the grafts on the fig. And we're just waiting. The bud at the end died, and I can't tell if these buds are still alive or not. But I've learned that the cambium is not where I thought it was when I was looking at the rings in the fig, and it's not the pithy outer ring, but a much, much thinner ring. So I wasn't really targeting right what I was trying to line up when I did the grafts. But here's the second one. There's the other one. But you can see that the fig is really starting to leaf out now. And the dragon fruit has been going crazy. I've been fertilizing it and watering it as the weather warms up, and this is all new growth. And the blueberries have been flowering and setting berries. We had several drier days about a week and a half ago. It was really nice weather, but really dry, and it didn't come out here because we were doing other stuff and I was working, and I thought everything would be fine, but the blueberries apparently really dried out and we lost some of the flowers and berries. I cut a few of the Mysore raspberry branches off to get more light into this one. The raspberries are flowering like crazy. Left Liz alone with the tomatoes, she's eating them. But this is just covered in flowers, and the raspberry and the avocado are still really happy together. I'm gonna back up a little bit to look at the tea plants. We have this crazy tomato volunteer going on in here too. But these are almost ready to harvest a little bit. These are the new shoots coming off the top. And when you get a set of 3 leaves like this, 1, 2, 3, then you snap it off with your fingers. But we have to go back and relearn what we're supposed to do after we snap them off and how we prepare it. So we haven't done that yet. And the big thing all week has been these avocados flowering, and if they were going to set or not, which thank goodness it seems like some are finally setting. See these flowers that are staying on? There's a few actual baby avocados I can show you on the other side, but at first they were all dropping, none were staying. They only have a normal 1% set rate. So 100 flowers and 1 will set. That's natural. They also dropped all of their leaves, which had me concerned, but apparently they actually just do that sometimes here. Several people told me that. And the new growth looks really good. Really shiny. But there was a lot of debate about whether I should water them a lot. One lady said I should be watering them every day to try to get the fruit to set. Other people said always keep them really dry. They hate to be flooded. Only water once every other week. And I tried leaving them dry for 3 or 4 days and they still kept dropping. And I dug down 6 to 9 inches, which is how you're supposed to test out here. And it was a little bit damp, but my conclusion was this tree was setting a few and it had a few blossoms not coming off and it was significantly damper under there than this tree, which wasn't setting any. So I figured that told me I needed to water. Plus, if I remembered when the trees were the healthiest last August, it was when we had just taken out all the, we decided, you know, we weren't going to get to go to Illinois, and we kind of like worked on this a lot and took all the random stuff that was out here and put the concrete things in and piled the soil and manure in here, and I was watering a whole lot on the outside to set the stone things in, and that's when the trees were really happy. And it stays damper in here, so I think my conclusion is, I watered it a tiny bit today, but my conclusion is I generally need to keep it very dry in here to prevent rot, you know, because it has such a bad situation being trapped with the roots, and then the roots grow through the holes. So I think to make the best of it, I have to keep this almost always dry. I haven't watered it in a week and a half until today. And then water well all on the perimeter. So all out here to the edge of the bed, and I've even been watering in the aisle. And I mulched this all too, on top of those piles of things. And I spent one whole day watering and then flicking the blossoms to see if they were going off, and then watering a little more, and my conclusion was they did need to water like that and do it significantly more, and now they're setting and holding on, so we'll see. We're very, very hopeful to finally get avocados. The mystery hot pepper is growing up. We have no idea what it's going to be like. More lettuce back here. And finally have a new growth tip on the black pepper. These are, and here are the peppers that overwintered and I thought were goners, and they have just exploded with growth and now with tons more peppers. So that's really exciting. There's another one that's just way in there between the snapdragons and the celery. They just like a lot of shade. Long days, a lot of daylight, but then a lot of shade, I guess. I don't know, it's so hit or miss. We've only had luck with them a couple times. The papaya is starting to leaf out a little more. You can see how thick the trunk is. There's other pepper down there. So, there's a lot on that plant. These tomatoes are all done. I have to take this one out. And this was a cutting I had started, and so the cutting was well rooted, and I built a mound here. It's growing pretty good. I don't remember if I had stuck it in by the last tour video or not, but I don't know if it'll make it before the heat. And this time of year, certain areas start to get super, super hydrophobic, where they just won't hold water. And that was happening in here, and the nematodes were really, really horrible. So we lost about half of these big Swiss chard plants. They just had to pull it out. So this whole area is a little bit of a mess. Yeah, Liz was telling me not to forget the worm houses. I'll show you. And this is the corky stem passion vine, which is a native passion vine. It's host to the zebra longwing. We're not sure where it's going to end up permanently, but we just have it stuck there for the moment. And these potatoes are doing okay. Unfortunately, this time of year we start getting lots of ants, and anywhere the soil is loose around the stems, the ants come, and it's just a strange situation. I just harvested some of the some of the rhubarb. So I'm hoping if I harvest some now, then with the cold weather, it'll maybe push out some more. And so I lost one of the potato plants. I stuck in another volunteer from the compost because it rotted below the soil line, which is something that we have happen a lot with the potatoes. We just have issues. The top of the soil dries and it's very, very loose, almost like mulch on the top 2 or 3 inches, and then the bugs crawl through and chew things out, but then it'll be quite moist way underneath, and it's just hard to keep it consistent. And this garlic is bulbing up pretty good too, but some of it back there got the witch's broom. Liz wanted me to show, I had one of the worm houses, which I thought I did before. So this one is the one that's most progressed at the moment. You see the worms doing their thing in there. Lots of coffee grounds. Oh. Yeah, they're really active. Showing off for the video, that's good. And it's under the comfrey, which, like I said, I cut a lot of the comfrey back to put in for mulch, but I also was able to sell some divides because it's very, very hard to get your hands on around here, so I knew it would be in high demand. And let's see, down here, it's pretty gray out here. Down here where I have some random stuff in Charlie's plot, we harvested some of that broccoli. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more. And I'm gonna pull some of these sweet potatoes today while it's cold. Hopefully it will make them taste good. And this is all one tomato plant. It's just growing like crazy. And the other broccoli I stuck in at the end, but Charlie's gonna be back gardening here soon, so I'm not sure what the plan is. The other gentleman, Bill, is using this plot too, and he's got the peanuts going, and these are the tomatoes we had started from cuttings from our other tomatoes, and this is the heirloom one we really like, so hopefully we'll keep getting a few more. I think if there's anything I've missed. That's really exciting about the bud on that gladiola. I've never
Don't
grown
forget
gladiolas.
that the battery dies a lot faster on my phone.
Yeah,
If
I'm
it dies
stopping it
in the
now.
middle- Okay. Okay.